Howdy, true believers, and welcome to another edition of the ReviewFix.com podcast. This is Patrick Hickey Jr., editor-in-chief of ReviewFix.com, joined by the super mega awesomeness of Juan DeJesus.
Well, thank you for having me back, but my real name is Juan Alberto DeJesus Delgado Rodriguez Ortiz Iman III. But you could just call me Jake.
What's up, Jake?
Not much. Same old, same old. What's going on with you?
Nothing. With New York City Comic Con right around the corner, it's never been a better time to start getting into some comic books. And
you know what gets me about Comic Con every now and then? Sometimes you walk in and it just smells like maple syrup. You just walk in and it's just random. I was like, is someone like making funnel cakes? No, it just smells like maple syrup.
You ever notice the food at Comic Con is like beyond terrible?
Oh, you want to know why? Because they know you'll still pay the $15 for it. Because you don't want to walk the 17 avenues it takes you to get to to get anything at least kind of good.
They have these like little like booey anchor stands like right there, and it's like $5 for like a Snicker bar, and it's just oh my god, it's terrible.
Like, I gotta eat it because if not, I'm just not myself.
Yeah, you're gonna turn into Joe Pesci, yeah.
Oh man, but the festival of the East Coast, not quite San Diego Comic Con, but almost as big, is here. And what are you doing to prepare for it, my friend?
I actually had an awesome interview today with how do I say this? This man that is doing a graphic novel on the first 30 years of Christ's life.
Oh, wow. Well, what does he do between, the temple and, his reemergence?
Yeah.
Is he just, chilling on a rock?
Basically, I mean, this guy...
I don't want to be sacrilegious.
No, I know.
I kind of don't know.
The writer, he, transcribed all, the original, Greek texts and stuff, and, the artist used to work for LucasArts, so it's,
so it's legit. It's legit good art.
It's completely legit, and it's powerful. I'm agnostic for the most part, even though I do believe that there is a higher power,
a creative force.
Yeah, and just reading this, I mean, I've read the Bible before, but it's reading this was just
Wait, don't tell me how it ends, bro.
No, I won't tell you how it ends.
Just saying.
But yeah, it's great. So that, and then I interviewed another guy that's in organizing. This zombie crawl around New York City, so it's 2,000 people are going to be dressed up as zombies that weekend, just running around getting fucked up all over New York City.
Could I bring out my airsoft guns, just or should I not?
That would probably be awesome.
It would be awesome until the cuffs come on, and then it's not awesome anymore.
I don't want to be there when the cuffs come off.
Yeah, but how do they get all these people together? Is it just people who want to dress up like zombies?
Yeah, and basically it's a 12-hour event. And
so it's like a pub crawl, but with zombies.
Yeah, and what they do is the first 2 hours, anybody that shows up that's not a zombie, they make a zombie.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
And after, they're going to have this after party with zombie strippers and burlesque show.
How does that work? Because, she takes off the shirt, and blam, you get hit in the face with a chicken cutlet.
Yeah, I know, like a piece of a boobie falls off or something like that.
And you're I'd still hit it. I'd still do it. She's got most of her jaw? Yeah, we're going for this. Let's go.
Oh my god. The coolest part, though, is, too, they're going to have video game stations set up, and they're going to have a playable demo of the new Ninja Gaiden Z, which is a zombie-themed Ninja Gaiden game.
That's the one that's all cel-shaded and has the ninja with the robotic arm, right?
Yeah, I'm very interested in checking that out.
Well, I actually read up on that a little bit. And he could actually take off zombies' arms and use them as almost like a quick time event.
Wow.
And he could chain them together until making his final attack. And then you have to hit the quick time just right, and then you could just go ahead and you could splatter them all over the screen. But they're not just regular zombies. You have the fast zombie, you have the slow crawl zombie, and then you have different mutated versions of it. So Resident Evil-ish, but with ninja, and he lost his arm to Ryu.
Nice. I like it. I'm down.
It's a ninjas and zombies. What's better? Pirates and zombies?
I mean, I do know one thing that's better than zombies.
What?
Sex. So, speaking of
Yo,
which, we got to
speaking of
talk
which,
about Masters of Sex on Showtime, man.
you know what? To be honest, I kind of knew what this was about going in, especially since I have a psychology degree, and I've read William Masters and Virginia Johnson's take on the female orgasm and a lot of their sex studies in human sexuality class, and I was actually a little intrigued. And when I sat down to see it, obviously I don't know if everything that's going on screen or every word of dialogue is true, but the actors are fantastic. I mean, you have Lizzie Kaplan, who she was part of that backdoor pilot for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she was also famous for Cloverfield. And she was already a good actress there, and she's really bringing it here as Virginia Johnson. I mean, you could really see that she kind of studied up on her, because in real life, Virginia Johnson she's actually pretty plain, and Lizzie Kaplan infuses her with a little bit of sex appeal and humanness that the real Virginia Johnson didn't have. I don't know if I knew. I think of her that way because I mostly read her studies. It's pretty dry. Way to go about it, but I like Sheen's portrayal of William Masters. I think it's dead on. Masters is not the most excitable guy. He was a doctor. He was actually a very successful at reproductive studies, and he was like the star of the hospital he was at. And I think Michael Sheen has a way to bring that dry, almost I'm too smart to be here nature to the show without being Michael Sheen. He could always be over the top, especially in movies like Tron and Underworld, and 30 Rock, for those of you who, know who Wesley Snipes is. Yes, that Wesley Snipes, not the tax evader. And I just think, I think it's a good show. I'm a little iffy on Nicholas De Agosto. People would probably remember him as the Final Destination 3D guy, one of the main characters. He plays Dr. Ethan Haas, and he's just a very unlikable character. And it's just because of the time period, there are men like that exist. And he wanted something that Lizzie Kaplan as Virginia Johnson couldn't provide, and that played a big crux in the episode. But there's plenty of sex, as the title implies, but it's almost secondary to the real relationship that Masters and Johnson had, because there was some transferences where you project some of what you like or some of what you feel onto some test subjects, and there was some of the transference between those two. And in real life, Masters and Johnson actually, they hooked up. And Dr. Masters actually divorced his wife to marry Virginia Johnson. That's all weird. So I wonder how that's going to play out on the show. It is a period drama and a black comedy, so you might as well just check it out. If you like Mad Men and you're coming through a little bit of withdrawal, this may just be your cup of tea.
Well, speaking about sex and like crazy drama, this week's episode of Sons of Anarchy.
Oh man, does that show not just get better and better?
See, that's the thing, though, man. I don't know. I think, I think it jumped the shark this week.
Well, it's on its last legs, definitely.
It is. It's got like one season left after this one, and there was
Does it really have to go that season?
I see. That's the thing. I don't know. I think like I was speaking with Nick Valenti, who also writes for ReviewFix.com, a little while ago, and he was saying how he thought the show should have stopped after Jax took the mantle from Clay. Like that should have been the end of it. And there was a lot of death this past week on the show, and a main villain, a guy that I thought was going to be like a huge villain this season, got killed, and it's kind of like, where do you go from here? I don't know. It's just, yeah, the show's sexy. It's got some great looking women in it, and like all the characters are great. It feels very familiar, but it's like, where do you go from here? Something either super big has to happen, or they've hit like a huge low. So I don't want to say it's jumped the shark, but it could very soon.
Well, but you see, do you think that it's Hunnam? Do you think Hunnam He's got the acting bug.
He's great on the show. Like
he's great. He's great on the show, and he was great in a lot of British dramas. Especially there was a movie he was in with Elijah Wood. The name escapes me, right? Where one you could barely understand him, but when he's there, it works.
Yeah.
He was good in Pacific Rim.
I would say like,
and he's gonna be Christian Grey. As much as I really don't want to talk about that movie, as much as I don't. I think he's got the movie bug, and I think he wants to leave TV behind, and I think you kind of see it a little bit on the screen. I mean, he's bringing everything to it, but still, do you think he's done?
I don't think. See, the thing is, all jokes aside, I don't think the problem with the show has anything to do with him. I think it's just like Kurt Sutter, the creator of the show, whose character he plays a character on the show as well, was finally killed after like a season of like getting raped, and he bit his own tongue off and got his eyes poked out. Like this guy just like wouldn't die, and finally like his character died, and I think it's symbolic in a way that like this was the week that like people could look back on and say this was like the last like really different episode of the show. This might be the week that like the creativity on the show died. So,
or do you think it's just a weak episode?
It could have been a weak episode. They've had
weak episodes in the past.
They have, and like this is like episode 4, I believe, of this season, and 2 of them have been weak. But like last week was such a good episode, and it's like you have Bobby is like leading the beginning of like a nomad charter, and Peter Weller's character on the show is awesome, and it's like Peter Weller's character is nowhere to be seen. Bobby's and the rest of like the nomads are nowhere to be seen. So it's like they focused on a lot of other things. So it's like things can change rather quickly, but at this point it's kind of like, where do you go from here?
I don't know. Maybe to the final little rest stop on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
But did you hear that little rumors coming around? It's not so much of a rumor. It's the one about the Simpsons killing off a major character.
No, I didn't hear about that.
They're planning on doing it this Sunday at 8 p.m.
Are they gonna kill? They're gonna kill Flanders' wife again?
It's up in the air, but I'll tell you something. They've done it before. When Bleeding Gums Murphy died, that was a great episode.
Oh yeah, and the one when Flanders' wife died, that was a fun episode.
That episode really I mean, they haven't aged.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, when Maude died, it was kind of like, hey, what's going on? Shit's going down.
Uh-huh.
But, other people have died. Dr. Marvin Monroe.
Yeah.
From the famous biofeedback episode.
Oh, my God.
Dr. Nick Riviera, Frank Grimes, who Homer just couldn't. The guy, Frank Grimes, couldn't catch a break. That's all it is.
God. Maybe it's Hans Moleman.
Do you think so?
Because he almost died so many freaking times. So it's like,
who's gonna get hit in the crotch by a football? Oh no!
I hope it's not Willie. I bloody love Willie.
You know what? It would kind of fit if it was Willie.
Oh, I
hope
don't see
he's
that.
Replaced by Scruffy or Scruffy's ancestor.
Oh my God! Could you imagine?
That would be fantastic. I think that would be fantastic. It's like, that was my cousin Willie.
Pre-Scruffy, yeah. Oh my God.
And a great way to tie the two shows together. I think it would be a great way to go.
Oh my God. As long as it's not like one of the Simpsons, I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, but what if it is? What if there's no more Marge?
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. That's fucked up.
No, but, she's almost caught it a couple of times. I mean, the church ladies, when she was selling pretzels, they did call in the hand of the Pacific Rim, the Yakuza.
Yeah.
While she got on the mob. So I'm just saying, she's crossed a lot of people in the past. I just want to stay long enough to see the little guy who's not doing anything do something cool.
I hope nothing happens to Marge.
What if it happens to Flanders? What if Flanders meets Maude?
I could deal with that.
Can you? But what about the stupid Flanders?
I could deal with it.
And what about the kids? Are they going to join the Simpsons if he dies?
Maybe they die too. That would be awesome.
Oh, really? Do you really? Okay, hold on a second. That's a pretty dark turn that I kind of like. It's like you kill off Rod and Todd, and you leave Ned with nothing but the leftorium. And we all know there's only like 3 left-handed people in Springfield. I don't know how that thing stays open.
Oh my god!
You know, that would be a pretty interesting take, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, that would breathe some life into it. They haven't floundered, and they have been on the air for 25 years.
It's just unprecedented that a show could stay on like TV that long and still be like I've watched The Simpsons the past couple of seasons. It's still good.
Yeah, but sometimes they're not as good. They're not as sharp as they used to be, and you can tell they've had writers leave.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not like South Park has been consistently like kick ass for like 14, 15 years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they had that whole Norman Lear experience. Do you know about that?
No, what's up?
So it was like after like the 6th season of South Park, I think they were like running out of ideas. They were feeling like burned out. They didn't know if they wanted to do it anymore, and they went on a writers' retreat with Norman Lear. If you don't know who he is, he's like the writer that he wrote All in the Family, The Jeffersons, Maude, all of these great freaking sitcoms in the 70s and 80s. So they basically hung out in a cabin with Norman Lear and got screwed up for like 3 weeks and came up with all these great ideas, and that fueled like the rest of the show where they are now.
So maybe the people at Sons Anarchy and the Simpsons could go on Norman Lear.
I hope so.
Oh man, no, but let's talk about something that's not going so smoothly, and that's GTA Online.
Oh, let's hear about this. I've heard terrible, terrible things.
Well, you know what? They should have seen this coming. They really should have. Especially after the launch of Red Dead Redemption. I played Red Dead Redemption online for about 5 minutes because I just couldn't get in. I would get into the game, I would call my horse, my friends are there.
I thought you just said you'll call your whore. I'm like, what?
What? You know what? I think I might have had one in the town if I had a chance to play the game.
Online.
But in all seriousness, I would get into the game, the horse would be galloping, and we're like, oh, let's go raid this town. Bloop, get disconnected. And that was out on launch day. Oh, so man. I'm saying they waited 2 weeks from the launch of the game to launch its online component. They knew how many people had the game. They could kind of expect how many of these people will go online. You know, you can't always accurately gauge that. But they should have been prepared. Servers were overloaded. People would get online and then would get kicked off. Or I managed to get into one race. Halfway through the race, I'm like, oh man, I'm in second place. Drop connection.
Oh man.
And you know it's bad. And you wonder what's bad about GTA right now is you have a good car, you drive it to a place, somebody sees it, and let's say you actually paid real money like they're planning on doing. And someone sees that nice car and all the stuff you've put into it, they can steal that car and it won't be gone forever.
So why would you even try to like get a good car then?
You don't. You kind of get one good one, and then you kind of write it out. But Rockstar has gone ahead and they've addressed some of the issues. I'm reading off some of the patch notes on RockstarGames.com. And there was an issue specifically for the PlayStation 3 where the PSN network was limiting the amount of concurrent servers that could be online.
Wow.
So, that was preventing a huge chunk of people from playing GTA Online, and they've resolved that issue. But there was another one about people getting through the tutorial mission online, something I managed to do but have to replay every time, and that seems to be a problem.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just, there's instability issues across servers, for people who got through the mission and are starting to do things and then goes back. But for the time being, they've gone ahead and they've shut down the microtransactions, which is one way they were going to monetize this online version until they actually get the activities rolling. So Rockstar's trying, but right now they're dropping the ball, and they should have known. They're a big company. They've pumped a lot of money into this game. They've made a lot of money onto the game, and I know they're working hard. But they're working on a title update right now. I wish it was better.
They should have just look at like what happened with SquareSoft a couple of months ago or last month with Final Fantasy. They weren't even expecting that big of a push, and the servers died. So Rockstar should have looked at that and been like, all right, listen, if we're expecting an overload, then we need to really step it up. And
I mean, I imagine they're buying servers. I imagine they're just calling around and going, I need servers, and I need servers now. Because, Activision faced that problem. But they that's why the pre-orders were there. You kind of knew those people who are pre-ordering are going to play your game online.
Yeah.
You kind of have to bring it. And then when you see that many pre-orders, because you should know, I need X amount of servers. But, there are some people, look, I haven't played a GTA game. I didn't play 4. I just couldn't get into it. Right? But I played 3. I played all the other ones. And this one, a lot of people are returning. And maybe they were anticipating the people who just decided to buy it without pre-order. And maybe those people are making up a huge population of people that are overpopulated. So I don't know if it's just a victim of its own success or a victim of not being prepared.
I mean, at this point, I don't even know if it matters. It just matters that they screwed themselves over,
Well, you're still going to play it at least once.
Oh, yeah.
You're still going to play it at least once. And if you have a group of friends like I do, you're going to party up and you're going to hit Armored Cores like crazy. I mean, that's what we do. Why would you not do that? And who kind of doesn't want to have a GTA Online style, group session?
Oh, I agree. And the thing is, too, I don't know. I feel like the game is meant to be enjoyed by yourself, but the way online is set up now, you could have so much fun with that game with a bunch of people that it's like you kind of have to at least try it once. And it's kind of sad that like the server is so bad that you can't even try it once if you wanted.
And I already have problems like with the aiming reticule. Come on, Rockstar, give me some crosshairs, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Give me some crosshairs. So.
Yeah, it's a mess.
But you want to know a game that has plenty of crosshairs? It has crosshairs up the ass.
What?
Battlefield 4. I got into the multiplayer beta. That was a huge, huge download.
How big was it?
It was like 4 or 5 gigs. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And it's eating up a huge chunk of my PS3's hard drive. But I like it. Its smoothness. I don't have the second screen, even though I have a Kindle. I don't know. Honestly don't think it's available yet. It's for the Commander's mode in Battlefield 4, but it's familiar. It's Call of Duty. It's Battlefield. Press L1 to aim, L2, R2 to fire. And stuff like that. It's just the same, and I think it's like a stalwart that kind of evolved. Like the Levolution is what they call it in DICE, where you can make buildings just collapse.
Nice.
And it is awesome to see, and it is a little scary because it's something that normally doesn't happen. Normally, you run through a multiplayer match, the building kind of stays the same. You run through a Battlefield match, let me blow some walls outside. If enough sides, you kind of feel the building shake, you run outside. When you see a multi-floored building come down in all its glory, you feel it. You get a little scared. You get a little rush, and I liked it. And it's smooth. It still has its issues, some stability issues. I saw some guys stretch a little bit, but they are isolated, at least in my experience. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of excited for next gen. I really want to see what it looks like for next gen. If I could pre-order a system, but it seems to be like almost ridiculous to get one. So I guess I'm going to have to stand online at midnight.
Oh, man.
Are you going to do it?
No.
Why not?
I don't wait for games.
You don't wait for games. It's not a game. It's a game system.
I don't wait for systems either. You know what it is, too? It's like, I've been so disappointed every time I've bought a system at launch because they just had shit.
Yeah, but this is where it's different. And I think, what is it? At Gamer Magazine, Best Buy's own personal magazine, is republishing a list of all the games that are coming out for PS3 and Xbox One. You have Infamous coming out. It's not a launch title, but it's within the first month. You have Call of Duty Ghosts. You have Battlefield 4, right? And you have a bunch of, 1886, the steampunk game. It's coming out for PlayStation. You're going to have Drive Club for PlayStation 4. You know you're going to have a Halo game because it was announced, and he's wearing a tard. You know, you're going to have a bunch of games, and now you can watch TV with your Xbox One.
I'm going to be totally honest.
You're not excited?
Not at all. Like, okay, there's no NHL. There's no WWE. There's no, like, Fallout type game.
Well, maybe that 1886 game, which if you get the PS4, it comes in your PS Plus, which is now, you know, right now the PS4 that's where the biggest downfall I see, is you have to buy a PS Plus membership to play online multiplayer versions of the game. But if you buy the PS Plus, which I have for the PS3, by the way, it's actually a really good service, you get 4 games. You get Drive Club, the standard version, not the retail version with all the cars, and you'll get 3 other games, including Knack, which was a launch title.
Yeah.
Right. That looked pretty fun. It was a little weird, but it looked fun. And you'll get
a lot of the PS4
Order
games look a little weird.
1886 and a whole bunch of other games.
So let me ask you a question. Let's just say you have these games, and then you quit the service. Do they keep them?
As long as you're a member of the service, right, you get to play the games. You know, and like my membership lapses from time to time, but 3 months is $17, and a full year is $50, and you get other options. You get free cloud saves, right, which Xbox already has in Xbox Defense as part of their gold service because they've had it because you've always paid for it.
Yeah.
Right. So PS4, you know, right now on the PS3 you get cloud save, you get automatic backup, automatic syncing because. You have a PS3, right? You want to go to your trophies. Sometimes it takes you 5 minutes to sync up.
True.
You know, or sometimes your friends list doesn't work all the time, and they revamp the friends list. And both the Xbox One and the PS4 have the online integration for your phone to be used as a way to control your system. I could be there. You're telling me this game is good. I'll buy it, and we'll play it when we get home from my phone.
I must say, I'm going to sound jaded, but, like, with the fact that, like, I have Madden 25 and NHL 14 and Disney Infinity, it's, like, the only games that I'm, like, even remotely, well, not even remotely, the only 2 games that I'm genuinely excited for are Pokemon X and Y and WWE 2K14.
But, okay, so let me ask you. Yeah. What is it about those games that gets you genuinely excited, and what could the next generation do to get someone like you to their side? Because I think that's the biggest thing that's keeping you right now from going, you know what, I'm gonna go get it. Because right now, you know, I run with a clan, and we're big FPS guys, we're big adventure guys. When Destiny comes out, it's like the perfect mix. Yeah. You know, it's got PS4 exclusive content that unfortunately the Xbox guys who have Titanfall as an exclusive for the first, I think, year. Mm-hmm. You know, you guys have that as an exclusive content.
I don't know. You know what it is? Maybe I'm just weird. I'm like the guy from the Twilight Zone that wishes everyone was dead so he could read in the library by himself.
Yeah, but be careful because your glasses will break.
I know. It's just, honestly, it's like when I have company over my house and they're like, let's play video games, I'm like, how about you leave and I play video games? You know, it's like I play games to, like, relax and to get away from everybody. It's like I love Street Fighter, but then I would play Street Fighter online and be like, you have a new challenge. I'm like, why? Get away. It's like people would just, like, bogart the game and, like, jump in from online. It's like then I had to shut it off, you know, and change the settings so it couldn't happen. Just, I don't know. I'm a very solitary gamer. You know, and then it's like...
See, I'm a very social gamer. I think that's where the next generation is going.
I think so, too. I agree. And I'm going to have to, like, break out of my shell a little bit. And it's like, I haven't played, like, a multiplayer game that I really enjoyed since, like, the days of, like, SOCOM.
Oh, well, I loved SOCOM. That's where I met my client. I met my client at SOCOM, too. And how long ago was that?
Yeah, it's like 10 years ago. SOCOM was amazing. All the
Not SOCOM 4. SOCOM 4 was not amazing.
SOCOM 4 came out on PS2?
Came out on PS3.
Yeah, I didn't play that one.
And was a failure. It was trying to be Call of Duty, but in a third person, and it just didn't work.
Yeah. The first three were so good, though, man. Oh,
they were, and even the Fireteam Bravos for the PSP.
Yeah.
And I know we're nerdy now for our listeners, but if you can find any version of Fireteam Bravo, those are the same people that the Neversoft, who they're no longer around.
Yeah, they made great games, man.
They did, but they've revamped their version to be online only. They stopped kind of making other standard games, and it's a shame that people didn't. Not enough people had the PSP. We've had this discussion before on the show.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about that SOCOM 2, and it was hard to get online with the PS2. You needed to buy the adapter.
Oh, yeah.
Some of us were still rocking 56K. The phone would ring and it would disconnect you.
Well, no, see, I think SOCOM was only...
only broadband?
It might have. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But...
I remember having discussions and being dropped, and then you're down a guy for the round, and you would sit there in the jungle hoping no one would notice you, and you could sneak up and just kill him.
Such a good game.
Oh. And you know what's weird? I met this one kid. His name is Bazooka Tooth, right? Mm-hmm. I have conversations with this guy over text message. He's a member of the Air Force, right? And he lives in Texas. Mm-hmm. Never met this guy in my life. We talk like we're best friends. And it's because of games like SOCOM where he goes, God damn it, listen to me, right? And you go, no, you listen to me, and you have an argument, and you both die, and now you both have to deal with each other, And I think that's something that's missing from the modern generation of gaming, where everyone's a noob and everyone's an idiot and blah 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 and so forth and so forth.
I agree.
We don't have enough reason to play together. I think that's why Pokemon appeals to you, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you know what it is, too? It's like, I have a nephew-to-be that's, like, young, and I've been getting him into video games, and I have another nephew-to-be that's, like, 11, and I've kind of, like, introduced him to the whole Pokemon series, and I enjoy spending time with them and playing those games. Or even, like, the Nintendo World Store is right around the corner from NBC, and, like, before work, I'll show up, and, I'll make a couple of trades, I'll battle a little bit, and then I could go on my merry way,
And that's why I knew you were going to like Infinity. Once you hit the toy box, and then it was over, right?
The toy box was very fun for me, but I have to say that, like, getting past the first few, like, silly missions in, like, all of the levels, especially, like, the Incredibles and the Pirates of the Caribbean levels, once you get past, like, the fetch quests and your characters start to level up and you're buying, like, in the Incredibles one, you can buy, like, the hoverboard and, like, the glide pack, and you can start to really traverse the area. That's when the game starts to get really fun. And then once you have those things, and you can go into the toy box with those things, that's when the game starts to get a lot of fun. But that takes...
I knew you were going to like it.
It takes, like, 3 or 4 hours to get there.
But you know what?
It's worth it.
For us, it's a stretch, because we, I was having this conversation the other day, like, an hour for a child is forever. An hour for us is less than the greater part of the day.
Yeah.
So 3 hours for us is like, oh, that's an investment right there.
Yeah.
But for a kid, they could sit down and crank that out.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no problem. Like, you give them an hour, and you'd be surprised what they get done. And then with me, it's like, I'm sitting there for an hour, and I'm like, oh, I could be playing this because this has to get reviewed. Or, oh, I got company, so I shouldn't play this right now. I should play this, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I miss the days when I could come home from work and be like, you know what? It's 7 o'clock. I got all my work done. I'm just going to sit on my ass and play Fallout 3 for 4 or 5 hours, and whatever happens, happens.
I lost 100 hours on that game.
That game got me through...
and mine had the saving issue, because it was a PS3 version.
Oh, that sucks. I had the 360 version. Fallout 3 got me through my first year of teaching, and Fallout New Vegas got me through our first year of grad school. Without those games, Tim Harper probably would have died a very painful death.
Well, I respect Tim and everything that he's done. He's got me jobs.
I love Tim.
I love him. But Tim, you and your red pen, man. Every time you strike that pen, it cuts across my arm.
Tim is probably one of the most honest journalists I've ever met in my life, and I respect the shit out of him for it. Yeah, but I would come home from a long day of grad school, and I would just play Fallout, and I'm like, thank God. Just
you don't know how many kids were whipped up into a feverish rage because of Tim Harper and his comments.
Oh my God! That or they just quit and they're waiting tables somewhere.
Just go. And it was just, I know I had to rewrite the story, but I need to get this off my chest right now.
Yeah.
And I understand that feeling, man. You want to know what was worse? I'll tell you a little story. He told me one day, I'm not going to put a pen to paper for this because it's going to make you cry. And I go, okay. And I take my story and I go to the whisper room and I cry.
Oh, man.
And someone knocks and they go, are you okay? I go, yeah, just it. They told me in an interview. For those who don't know, a whisper room is a place where you can be very quiet. You can have phone calls and record it. And it's a very good place to cry.
Yeah.
Because people just think you're using the phone.
Oh my God. He did like a number on me, but like in a good way. I needed it. Better. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree tenfold that he made me better, and he gave me a much thicker skin. So, speaking of thicker skin, I must say I have to make reference to this.
Okay.
There's a comic book, a Dark Horse comic called Resident Alien, and it's in its second arc. It's called Suicide Blonde, and it follows an alien, obviously, who has, he looks completely different, hence the thicker skin comment. It's a stretch, but like let's work with it. It's like about this alien who crash lands like in some small town, and he assumes the responsibility of being like the town doctor. Yet at the same time, he teaches himself how to read and write based on like old school noir and gritty like dramas and stuff. And it's like Columbo meets like Alien Nation. It's freaking awesome. And
I was a big fan of Alien Nation. So
it's just and like his nurse like knows what he is, but she won't tell him. And like there's kind of like a love interest, but there's not. And she's like super hot, and she's like Native American, and it's like. It's just a really, really good comic. Peter Hogan writes it, and he's amazing, and Steve Parkhouse draws it, and it just has this very, like, old school... I'm not sure if you remember, like, the second run of Ghost Rider, like the Dan Ketch stuff, like in 90 and 91, or, like, the Toxic Avenger comic, the Marvel one, that was, like, gritty. That's, like, what it looks like. It's got a very dark palette. It's just so much fun. This character is, like, super cool. So it's, like, and you being, like, the psychology guy, you'll totally appreciate how this guy is able to see through people. Like, he's investigating a murder, and he's talking to somebody, and he's like, yeah, they're lying. I know they're lying. But it's amazing.
Huh, I guess I'm going to have to pick it up. So listen, I know it's a big, we've talked about TV and everything else, but have you seen it? Have you seen the last episode of Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I saw it.
What'd you think?
I thought it ended rather nicely. It wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't a Sopranos-esque ending, which I think a lot of people would have been pissed off if it was. So,
Can I be honest with you?
Go ahead.
That show had 3 endings. It had 3. Mm-hmm. 3 different episodes. You saw Walter's life end in Granite State, right? Mm-hmm. You saw him with absolutely nothing, reaping everything that he had sown. Mm-hmm. Right? He lost Skylar the episode before. He tried to take his daughter. He realized he couldn't. Right? Mm-hmm. Then you had that was the end of that whole arc. Walter the Kingpin, he had lost Hank. He had lost everything that he wanted to save. The line that he didn't cross was crossed for him. You had Granite State where he was in isolation, thinking and reflecting upon everything that had happened and realizing that in the end, it was all about him.
Yep.
Because you saw that right at the end, especially when Gretchen said those comments that just irked him to hell. And you heard the little guitar come on. But it really was the death of Walter White in that one episode. And in Felina, the anagram for finale, or blood, lithium, and sodium, right? Blood, sweat, meth, and tears.
Yeah.
You saw Walter being a ghost of himself.
Yeah.
You saw the scruffy beard. He would just materialize in scenes. Like you were looking for him, but when Lydia comes in, Todd is talking to him. Walter just calmly turns around. Gretchen and Elliot show up at their house. He comes out of the shadows. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything about that I think was wrapped up too nicely, but it was the action ending that some people wanted. When the real ending happened 2 episodes before, which was his life is gone. No matter how much money he has, he could never repair that family. You know, Granite saw the ending of him as a man and realizing that he was a bad guy all along, and Felina was him realizing that this is what he truly loved doing, especially when he confessed to Scatter that he did it for himself and that he could do it. I thought it was excellent.
You kind of summed it up better than anybody I know could have, man. It's just like
Thank you.
I
went to journalism for something.
Absolutely, it's like Vince Gilligan, like really kind of like takes the viewer on just this path, you know, and it's kind of like you don't know what's really gonna happen. I'm talking about like last season. You know, and then it's like it starts to add up and add up and add up, and then after a while, you basically get to the point where you're like, something is like totally gonna change, you know, and you see that maybe this perfect ending that like Walter has been clamoring for so long just isn't gonna happen. And I love how, like, you have this fight that goes on for such a long time, you know, that, like, he's trying very, very hard to hold on. And he's just not strong enough. But I think somewhere along those lines, he starts to realize that he really enjoys the power. You know?
Was it the power or was it the danger?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like that one line in the finale where he was like, you know, I did it to feel alive. Mm-hmm. That to me like sums up the entire series. That's all the guy wanted. It's like even in the beginning when he didn't know that he had cancer.
He was dead.
Yeah.
He was unhappy as a teacher.
Yeah.
And it's the only show I have ever seen that gave their main character an out almost immediately.
Yeah.
They said, hey, come work for us. We'll give you health care. We'll pay for your treatment. And he said no because of hubris. And look what that hubris has wrought.
Yeah. And what was that? That was like the 4th or 5th episode of the first season, right?
I think it was even earlier than that. I think it was like the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
You know. But, you know, I'm sorry, homie. I got to go me. And that was, you know, Steve Gomez. I really wish he wouldn't have died. There were only 3 people on that show that didn't do anything wrong. Steve Gomez, Flynn, Walter White Jr., and the baby. Everyone else on that show was not that likable. Was guilty of something, yeah. Yeah, you know, those 3 people are really the true victims in this. Gomez because he was sniffing too far up Hank's ass. And the baby because she didn't know any better now has to live with the fact that her father's a kingpin. And the kid who's forever going to be made fun of because somebody's cousin took meth and his father probably made it. The damage is done. Walter White couldn't save it no matter how hard he tried. You know what, though? But I don't even think that he was even thinking that far ahead. I think he just wanted them to be taken care of financially. And they are. Yeah, but you stop. He made $7 million, and Gustavo said that's it. And he could have said, okay. Yep, but he didn't. Because he liked it. He liked it. Oh, man. I like talking, but I know our time has come to an end. Our time has come to an end, Juan. much like the very good TV show. There's other good TV shows, but this was excellent. So, on that note, I must say, it's been a pleasure once again, Juan, and for Patrick Hickey Jr., Editor-in-Chief of ReviewFix.com, and, of course, Mr. Breaking Bad himself, Juan DeJesus, we'll see you guys next week. I'm going to buy a guitar just to learn that one riff. That's all, $300 just to learn that one riff.